All right, a very warm welcome. This is the casual bracket semi-final of the 1v1 tournament between Jim Bob and Twodback. Jim Bob beating Vampirus in the last round, and Twodback taking out Zorbaz in a very entertaining series of games that we saw a couple of weeks ago. With me for this one, I'm Terra Incognito. With me for this one is Phil Athanic.
What is
and,
this map?
Lots of green on the left-hand side of the map, isn't there?
And little water. Pretty much all the resources are up in this northeast side of corner of the map. You have everything you want but water. There are core samples. It is a
robotics HQ has been found.
No, that's volcanic.
Interesting double robot for both players. No great surprise. Because water is at best marginal in this part of the map. There's only really the 3 tiles, albeit with core samples, but even so, both players going for the robot. Who got the purchases in early? So Twodback has the aluminum, Jim Bob has the iron, and he's going to be using that to upgrade very quickly. Jim Bob not taking any aluminum HQ1, in fact neither player taking aluminum HQ1. So I imagine they'll be upgrading basically together.
Yes, and if Jim Bob does upgrade within the next 15 seconds, he does get soul claim on this high water tile, which I imagine he desperately would like.
And he's close to having the money to do it. 5 seconds. It is a big deal. Twodback sitting ready, waiting with those claims. Does get it down.
These tiles next to the water are very interesting. You have a volcanic, a riverbed, a volcanic, and another riverbed. It's very weird terrain. So the riverbeds should have more water than the volcanic, but core samples are definitely something both players will be looking to use this game, especially considering the really high price.
Yep, absolutely. Lots and lots of money to be made, and yeah, Jim Bob first in with that black market cooldown with the power surge onto Twodback. That was despite founding first as well, so Twodback responding as you might expect with that underground nuke on the water. So that's a low water now that Jim Bob is working off, and that's going to be a little bit painful for him. Jim Bob with a little bit of a lead though. Both players I think selling steel. In fact no, Twodback's not selling steel down. Jim Bob is, so he wants the cash to be a little bit more flexible.
Makes sense, I guess, especially when your opponent is not getting any iron. I will note that Twodback did take a medium water pump, which is also on riverbed terrain. So
there is no goon squad on that water pump, and if I were Jim Bob, I would be looking at that.
Throw a nuke right back.
Yeah,
instead he chooses to upgrade.
Takes the upgrade, and to be honest, like, prices are so high, you could still do it now. Like, prices are just so high that basically anything you do is going to cost, certainly on the black market. The black market is so worth it because we've mentioned a lot about low price environments before and how that really prohibits use of the black market. Well, this is the opposite. Like, prices are so good that what you need to be doing is getting into that black market as soon as you can.
Well, now our players need to get into the power market.
Yep, no great surprise. Jim Bob deciding to go for a medium carbon tile that's quite far away from his base. Yeah, this power situation's kind of interesting. What is this? Oh, that was a misclick. Yeah, it was a misclick. Twodback saying in chat with the power surge. That's a really unfortunate misclick, and it bounced the wrong way.
Yeah,
with the power surge.
Always
to obviously target the end. Yep.
And
so
then
that's pretty unfortunate. And yeah, we've mentioned several times the core sample possibilities in this game, and actually Jim Bob cancelling that claim. Wonder if he saw that power surge and realized just how vulnerable he was in this situation.
I think he's setting up to go into a second wind turbine.
Yeah, I would be surprised if not. What is that? That's a moderate wind, and next to it is a weak wind, so it's not great, but it does need that production in the short term.
Pelican nearby. I don't know. I'm tempted to go for solar panels.
Yep, I would too. And Twodback is getting that silicon in though, so you are basically feeding money to Twodback by doing that. But even so, might be more cost effective to do than the wind turbines. And Jim Bob does have that carbon, and he has actually gooned that carbon tire. So Twodback can't throw any nukes at that without any major cost. Twodback getting to HQ3, and both players, I don't know, it feels like another power game, doesn't it? Both players really need to get a handle on this power market, and it's whoever can protect their power at this point is going to be at a serious advantage.
Well, both players have the black market open, waiting to purchase something. Both players have enough money to purchase items from the black market.
Really need to see those purchases. Twodback with
Twodback
the goon.
deciding to put his power right next to Jim Bob's.
Yeah, okay. I can see that, and yeah, he's gooning the tile that adjoins onto Jim Bob. So again, it's kind of a game of chicken. If you don't really want to be shutting down your opponent's power, because you're also shutting down your own power by doing that.
Of course, there are spies in the market, so Jim could easily spend 4.5k, take a peek over there, and then realize he's good to go from the other side, especially as there are now 3 solar panels in a row.
Yep. Power still at $300 or thereabouts. It's going to be falling over the course of today with all of these solar panels that are coming down from Twodback. Are we going to see a 4th one as well? I think we might do. Yeah, we are.
So are we going to see another
So
goon to go with it?
I would hope so. It's 7,000, which is a fairly expensive goon, but I think I would argue in this situation that you really need to be protecting that. Although again, it's this kind of awkward situation where he's adjoining Jim Bob's water pump, so any shutdown on the solar panels is also going to shut down Jim Bob's own stuff. And if he targets the solar panel at the end, well, let's say 50-50 shot of whether you get your farm shut down or whether you shut down your opponent's power.
Congratulations.
Well-placed line of solar panels by Twodback, perhaps a little bit excessive, but what it will do is kill this power price before, hopefully, from Twodback's perspective, before Jim Bob is able to pay off any of his power.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing, and that's the reason I think I'm okay with this overcommitment. What otherwise would be an overcommitment into solar panels. He's getting the silicon, so it doesn't actually cost that much other than the claim for the silicon. And also,
Lucky
wow,
bounce!
He did do it! Oh my gosh, that could have gone really badly for Jim Bob. He took the 50-50, and it pays off. So Jim Bob in a position now where he might actually start to think about making some of that power money. It's very possible that he does. He's at 19k, it's falling at nearly 500 a second for him. And if he can make some of that power money, he's also ahead to the HQ4 upgrade. Jim Bob just not quite making enough steel for that to be an achievable goal for him right now. Jim Bob, Twodback in fact, going into 3 steel mills. He has a large stockpile of iron, so I guess that's probably okay. But Jim Bob with 8,000 of debt, 7,500 of debt, very close to the point now, with those solar panels still shut down for another 20 seconds or so, where he's going to be making power money. Oh, never mind. Dynamite on the wind turbine.
Yes.
That's pretty sensible from Twodback. That's going to be an expensive one for him to deal with.
I was going to note that both players got lucky with their attacks against the opponent's power, and that time Jim Bob does hurt himself.
Well, he knew where the goon was, so he targeted the one next to it, which is pretty sensible. But again, that path all the way down, he does shut down his own food as well. Twodback saying yay, justice for that. And yeah, there is 1 solar panel still operational for Twodback.
2 solar panels, but no adjacency.
Yeah, there's the second one that's a long way away. The second one at the other end. So yeah, he's got 2 solar panels up.
He goes
and is now making a surplus of power.
He goes into another 2 solar panels on his silicon mines.
Jim Bob making power money though.
Just trying to shut down the power money as fast as he can so Jim Bob doesn't get much advantage. Jim Bob is making... These 2 very weak wind turbines are making $71 a piece.
Yeah, I hadn't spotted these. Yeah, wow.
And a geotherm from Jim Bob.
Sure about that. Not sure what those tires. Oh, they were iron
They were
mines, weren't they,
iron.
originally?
Yes.
And he's got a large amount of iron now, so he can connect those up at HQ5. That's not too bad.
If I was Twodback, I would have be very tempted to let Jim Bob take that claim for 16k. Now definitely don't bid it up, because then Jim Bob doesn't make power money anymore.
Kind of an awkward situation. Jim Bob making basically paying cash for this claim, 20k, because that's cash that he would have made from the power situation. He's now not really going to make any more power money, but at the same time, it's basically free debt. That's going from 0 when the power prices crashed, going from 0 to 20 is not a huge deal.
Yeah.
And Jim Bob able to get that claim for, it seems completely reasonable. It shores up his late game. He's bought another goon, and another goon against the nuke for the water. So that's very sensible of Jim Bob to do that. Twodback's water is ungooned.
Yes, there have been, most of the goons have been on power this game.
Oh, there it is. So Twodback getting the nuke onto Jim Bob's water, and it bounces, so Jim Bob now can do whatever he pleases with that. He's going to spy out the water, and then he's going to nuke it out. So that one backfired, didn't it?
Yes, there still are our core samples. 3k.
There are core samples.
Now, one thing we haven't mentioned is Twodback is actually 1 HQ behind Jim Bob still.
And Jim Bob's getting towards the point where he can threaten in terms of the amount of cash that he has as well. 70k, not a million miles away from at least making Twodback nervous about upgrading to HQ4.
Yes, Twodback recognizing that, mentioning it in the chat, that he wants to play a little bit more, despite the fact that this next upgrade will probably in fact kill him.
Yep. Rotating out of those solar panels, as you would probably expect at this point, into those electrolysis reactors. You're going to make decent money, but again, Jim Bob is ahead in that market, has those reactors down already, replaced those 2 wind turbines with reactors, and as a consequence is going to be first into that market. They'll still have the 2 solar panels, so the power price still controlled, at least for the time being. And those 2 steel mills at the moment still not making any money, although Jim Bob is getting the iron in to support it, so they probably should be on regardless.
Alright, Jim Bob going in for the kill, should be able to finish this off without too much difficulty. Needs about another 10k or so to seal the deal.
I'm not sure he even needs that. He basically has what he needs now. Twodback saying he needs to turn on auto off. Fair enough. With that water situation, the farms were, or rather the reactors were not making very much money with the water price as it was. Jim Bob going in for the kill. He's going to get this one very, very comfortably, and it's going to be game number 1 over to Jim Bob. After that very convincing series against Vampirus, he takes this game number 1, and very well played. It was a battle of 2 robots, 2 very similar robots in a lot of ways, and it wasn't decided by power necessarily, but certainly was a big contributing factor that Jim Bob was able to pay off all of that debt and make power money.
It honestly, one of the things that Jim Bob did really well compared to compared to Twodback was him deciding to sell down his steel. Twodback was just keeping that steel, and that meant Jim Bob was stealing essentially cash from Twodback that Twodback wasn't getting, and that sort of allowed him, I think, was what allowed him to propel himself into that HQ4 upgrade over Twodback once these power plays were being made.
Yeah, and I thought you were referring to our game earlier on for a second there, and I certainly did make some mistakes for selling steel down when I really shouldn't have been in the 1v1 against Orbaz. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Getting that money in the short term, perhaps more valuable than keeping that steel in as a stockpile.
Let's take a look at the charts and graphs really quick. Jim Bob, with a nice, he bought into chems also. Just under 90k or so in chems that he made.
Money.
Take a look at production and sales. Overall,
all of these chems, wow.
Yeah, Jim Bob just moving into markets quicker than Twodback. starting to sell them quicker than Twodback.
Yeah, Jim Bob with a surplus of 44,000 or so on power, and I think that was pretty significant. Again, the debt situation. He did make quite a bit of money from that power, even with that claim that he bought for 20,000. He was able to probably make 20 or 30,000 in cash with that power situation, with that power surge. And let's remember for a second that 50-50 power surge that could have gone horribly wrong for Jim Bob. But he got a very lucky bounce and shut down Twodback's power. And that might have been what swung the game.
I say right before then, Twodback also had a very not so much game luck, but he decided to blow up Jim Bob's was it moderate wind turbine instead of the weak. He didn't have a spy. You would have thought that Jim Bob would goon his moderate one and leave the weak undefended, but no, Twodback decided that wouldn't be the case. And
yeah, that's kind of interesting. I don't know whether he knew where the goon was, because there had been a goon purchase, I think, by that point by Jim Bob. I don't know whether Twodback knew where it was. If he did, then it's fair enough to do that. But yeah, otherwise it seems like a risky move, and there were no real spies. Certainly no spies from Twodback and actually there were spies.
The spy came down later.
2 electrolysis reactors, but it came down later. So again, yeah, probably no knowledge of where that goon was. So yeah, in that case, pretty big risk.